future where the glass is half full and you'll need new glasses, where you'll be jumping from conclusions.
The past is annulled and a new future is born.
Never before in history has so much meant so little to so many. AD on the radio.
So, just in time for Mother's Day, Dave Grohl's mom has written a book. It's true. And it's basically about what it was like to raise a rock star. And she spoke to the mothers of other rock stars, and it sounds like a fascinating book. And like I said, right in time for Mother's Day. But it's interesting. She was talking about this. And she was talking about what it was like to raise little Dave Grohl. And what it was like to have music in the house at such an early age. Dave's dad was like an awesome musician, this guy with perfect pitch, and his mom was a public school teacher. But she said that she knew, and Dave knew, and the world pretty much knew, between the ages of 12 and 13, that it was going to be music for him. That was it. That was 100% it. And when she talked to the moms of other rock stars for her book, a pattern emerged. They all knew that their kid at age 13 or so had made a decision that music would be their life. And you know what? Back when I was like 13 years old, maybe a little before, I was just like, yeah, I know there's school and college and all this stuff, and maybe I'll go to music school or whatever, but it's all just going to be so I could do music for a living. That's it. I made that decision when I was 13 or so as well. And so, little after that, maybe a year or two after that, I find myself in London at this club called the Camden Underworld. And I see, and hold your disaffected chuckling when I mention the name of this band. But I see a band called Sugar Ray take the stage. Now, this was on their first album. They were this screaming, good time party punk rock band. And I'd never seen anything like it. I'd never seen a bunch of guys hit the stage and look like they were having so much fun. And they tore that place a new one. That first album they did, Lemonade and Brownies, that sold exactly no copies, the one with Mean Machine on it. Please do yourself a favor. Check it out. Check out the video for Mean Machine. It was done for like $1 with a camcorder back in the day. And it's still one of the best videos you're ever going to see. That is what it's like to see a band have fun. That is what it's like to have fun seeing a band. It was one of the craziest, most profound things I'd ever seen in my life. And it made me go, I knew I wanted to do this, but I definitely, look how much fun that is. Look how much fun they're having, and look how much fun everyone in the audience is having. Look, this is awesome. It's incredible. And I remember being struck by their bass player, this dude called Murphy, who hit the stage and was scissor kicking for all he was worth. I had a hard time. It wasn't how high he jumped. It was whether or not he ever touched the ground. He wasn't jumping high. He was flying low. One of the craziest shows I have ever seen in my life. And I would imagine one of the craziest shows that band had ever put on. But I'd never seen so much unadulterated joy in music brought to a stage as I did that night. And that made me go, oh hell yeah. Yeah, that's what I want to do. Because I knew I'd wanted to be a musician. I knew I wanted to make music somehow. I didn't know exactly what form that would take, but I saw that and I went, man, I want to help people have that kind of fun, and I want to have that kind of fun doing it. That looks awesome. And I was in this band, and we were just getting going. And interestingly enough, a couple years later, we were signed in on tour with Sugar Ray. We were doing a Warped Tour. They were on the Warped Tour, and I can't remember if I told them, oh my God, you like blew my young mind a couple years ago when I saw you at the Underworld in Camden. But nevertheless, it was a profound experience. And, well, Murphy, bass player from Sugar Ray, he's not in Sugar Ray anymore. Man, he hit the nail on the head earlier today with this Facebook post. Since he's not doing the bass playing thing as much as he used to, I don't think, he's turned his considerable talents and creativity to photography. And he posted this picture of his son, this kid with a bunch of worn down drumsticks in his hand. And what he said about music and childhood and why it's so vitally important is something that you just have to hear.
Say ho, ho, say ho, whoa, ho, whoa. Let's start the show. Let's start the show. Let's start the show. Let's start the show.
Real radio.
104.1.
Where the left and right come together for fundamental truths. AD on the radio, on Twitter at ADSXE.
So this guy I was telling you about, Murphy, the guy that used to play bass in Sugar Ray, nicer human being you could not hope to meet. And since he's no longer doing the bass playing stuff in Sugar Ray, he's turned his considerable talent and creativity toward things like photography. And man, did this guy hit the nail on the head with this thing that he posted on Facebook. It was a picture of his kid, his son, holding up a bunch of completely shredded drumsticks. Drumsticks that have been put through their paces. It's a great photo. It's on my blog. Whatever radio station you listen to this show on, there's a blog on the homepage, and it's mine. Go check this out because I posted it up there. And you got to see the picture of his kid. This is a determined little musician that will be a force to be reckoned with moving forward, I would guess. But he said, my son Andrew plays drums every day. I took this photo last night, and when he's done practicing, without fail, he comes up to me and says, can we go to Guitar Center? I love that. Even if I only take him once every few weeks, I've got to make him earn it, right? But my favorite thing is that he's developing a skill that can help him through some tough times. My favorite part of music for me was that it was something that I could turn to instead of getting high in high school. I was so busy wanting to rock or write songs and lead my band that I didn't have time to want to get wasted. All right, there was that legendary kegger, and okay, I drank beer, but I stayed away from things like heroin and cocaine and other strange stuff that I didn't understand and was probably scared of. There was plenty of opportunity to do heavy drugs, and there still is today. But my point is, we need to make sure our kids are involved in positive things. Sports are great for bonding and for developing confidence, but music might be just as powerful, if not more. Especially for a shy kid like me. I wasn't a star athlete, but I had so much inside that I wanted to share, and I didn't know how. Then I got a guitar at 15, and my whole world changed. I felt like I could now communicate for the first time to everyone around me. So I'm glad Andrew is learning to grow a muscle that will never let him down as a positive escape. Keep your kid in a sport that he or she digs. When they tire of it, bail. Get on to something fresh and new. Start them on drum lessons, guitar lessons, saxophone lessons, anything. They'll find something they dig. Let them learn Metallica songs. Let them get into speed metal. Why not? Or the Carpenters. It doesn't matter. Let them explore. Okay, maybe not Norwegian death metal. It's pretty crazy. And in this check out how amazing and cool my life is on Facebook or Instagram posting world where our kids are growing up, I think there's a ton of pressure on them to perform and act as though they should always be well-adjusted little grown-ups who are cool and prepping for college in the 7th grade. I didn't even mean this post to be anything like this, but I'm just sharing, I suppose, as a parent who gets things wrong while raising 3 boys and wanting the best for them. So get your kids into music, if they're not already. Of course, I'm biased. Let's let them have fun and remember to find the positive things about them. I saw that and I was like, oh my gosh, this guy hit the nail on the head. He really did. It is exactly why music is such an important thing to have available to a child. And it spoke to me. You and I have maybe talked about this in the past, but it's important. It bears repeating. See, for me, growing up, school was tough. I had attention deficit problems, dyslexia, and I was labeled this slow kid. I'm a slow kid. You're not expected to finish your homework. You're just expected to do an hour of it, then have your parents sign this saying that you did your best. I was told that I was less than. I was told that less was expected of me. And I achieved less. Academically, when I was a kid, I was barely getting by. And you know, I don't know if you had this growing up, but that feeling where you're afraid the teacher's going to call on you, and you're afraid because you know no matter what the question is, you won't have the answer. I lived in constant fear of being called on for answers that I didn't have because I never had the answer. They would ask me a question and I would look up and honestly, I was trying my hardest to concentrate. And I just have to tell them, I'm sorry, I don't even know what page we're on. And they said, you got to pay attention. And I said, I'm trying. They're like, try harder. See, at the time, things like ADD were sort of known as shut the hell up and do your homework in my world. And it was pretty bleak. From 8:30 a.m. to 3 p.m. when that last bell rang. And then there was that mental anguish of my homework. Oh my gosh, I always felt like, what the hell is this? It's miserable enough being at school. You telling me I got to take this work home and do it? Add to my misery? But before my homework and after my homework, I got to play the drums. See, I had an aptitude for music. And I was lucky enough that my parents got me the drum set that I wanted so badly when I was like 4 or 5 years old. And you know what? Being good at playing the drums, it gave me a little sense of self-esteem. When I was terrible at everything else, yelled at by teachers, and the source of frustration and worry from my parents, I still had the fact that I could play the drums. And it was so important, and I'll tell you why.
For more stimulation and less irritation, 9 out of 10 doctors choose KPRC AM 950, Houston's more stimulating talk radio.
Don't get the blues, get all the news. We mean all of you guys out there in Radio Land. All aboard!
He's back. AD on the radio.
Give it up, yeah. Give it up, yeah. Bring this on. Come on, come on.
So, old buddy, this dude Murphy, used to play bass in Sugar Ray. Like I said, knocked it out of the park today with this post that was basically a picture of his kid holding up some drumsticks that were absolutely shredded because he'd been playing so much. And he talked about how glad he was that his son played music. And he talked about how glad he was that he had music growing up. And how he knew that his kids, like he did back in the day, would have a positive escape from the world. I think that's probably the line that really spoke to me the most, because as I was saying, ADD, dyslexia, I was told I was slow, had to sit in the back of the class, wasn't expected to finish my homework, just do 2 hours of it, Try your best, have your parents sign it, whatever. I was told that I was achieving less than and was expected to achieve less than. Last kid to learn my multiplication tables, and boy, did they let me know about it. But like I said, I had this little aptitude for music. And when I would come home, before it was time to do homework or after I'd finished my homework, I put on the headphones and I put on a record and I played along to it. I was all of a sudden at one with everything and truly free. A feeling that I never had for the rest of the day. And I suppose if I hadn't gotten it from music, I might very well have sought it out from drugs, alcohol. But I always found that whatever ailed me, the solution, 9 times out of 10, was in music. And it gave me a little bit of a sense of self-esteem, which I had absolutely none of whatsoever, because I spent my entire youth being told that I wasn't the brightest bulb, not the sharpest tool in the shed. Don't expect great things from yourself or from life. And when I was terrible at everything else, yelled at by teachers, the source of frustration and worry for my parents, I still had the fact that I could play the drums. And years later, I went to the library and I looked up myself, basically. I looked up my inability to pay attention. I looked up my inability to retain information in class. And I diagnosed myself. Not a great thing to do, but I diagnosed myself with attention deficit disorder. And by the way, this is a diagnosis that a doctor later confirmed. But I figured out a workaround for my brain. I was like, okay, I guess I retain and learn differently. This going to school thing has not worked for me the entire time. What do I do? And I figured out a workaround for my brain. Basically, the day before the test, I would go sit in the extra help session, have just me and the teacher sit there as they spewed facts directly into my face. I would retain them for about 18 hours, ace the test the next day, and promptly forget everything else. But I made straight A's for the rest of the time I was in school. I won a National Merit Scholarship. I remember walking away with my scholarship paper in my hand because it was like this big national thing that was done off of standardized testing and all this stuff. And several kids said to me, "I didn't know you were smart." And I was like, "Yeah, I didn't either." And I really didn't for a long time. I don't think I'm that bright now, but I'm not the complete dead loss that I was told I was in the 3rd grade. And here's the thing. If it hadn't been for music and the belief music gave me in myself, I don't think I ever would have dug a little deeper and found my way of succeeding in school. Never would have believed in myself enough to go to the library and look myself up and be like, what the hell is the deal? I know I'm smart. I know I'm not this stupid. What's up? Without music, I doubt I would have made it anywhere in life. I would have just accepted my fate as a slow kid. I would have expected way less of myself the way my teachers did. And when I read what Murphy wrote about his son and music, it spoke to me so strongly that I had to share it with you. Do yourself a favor. Check out the whole thing. It's on my blog. Like I said, whatever radio station you're hearing this on, I've got a blog on the homepage, and it's up there. Do yourself a favor and check it out. And if you have a kid, if you've got multiple kids, please, look, not every child is going to have an aptitude for music. Not everyone's going to be musical. Not everyone's going to gravitate toward music. But please make it available to them. Every kid's got their something, right? Some people might be star athletes. Some people might be really good at throwing a baseball or football or playing tennis or lacrosse or hockey or basketball or whatever the hell it is. Some people might just run really fast or jump really far. Some kids might be awesome at art or writing or creativity in some way, shape, or form. They might be awesome at drawing. They might be really good at designing things on a computer. I've seen kids build entire worlds in that Minecraft game, which I don't play because I don't have time to play video games. But I can't help but think, I'm actually very impressed by that. And their parents have gone, really? Yeah, it's a game. I was like, look at what they're doing. Look at what they're doing. Like, well, yeah, it's a game. I was like, I couldn't sit down and do that. I'm like, well, kids think differently. I was like, no, I think your kid thinks differently. So whatever it is, it might be art, it might be music, it might be sports. But if your kid isn't good at reading, writing, or arithmetic, if they're a little deficient in the 3 R's, the way I was, there's something that they're good at. There's something that they have an aptitude for. There's something that will give them a spark. There's something that will give them belief in themselves. And that little spark of belief, it's so important to fan that into some kind of flame. Because so often, that doesn't happen. And so often, without that happening, the kid can get shut down and just accept what the hell it is that life has handed them because an adult who forgot what it was like to be a kid told them that's how it was going to be. And music, more than almost anything else, has an ability to do that for people. So I guess what I'm saying is, have music around the house. Right, Funkhouser? Music. It's important. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Shall we do some news? What's going on in the world?
Fine. Hold on. Here it comes. We have to rely on the hotel internet here, so give me one half of a second to hit the button. Here it is.
This is My Witness News. In no way, shape, or form fair and certainly not balanced. And now, super producer to the stars, Barry Funkhouser.
Hello.
So how's the big old road trip?
Things are good, man. We are in Phoenix, Arizona.
Super producer to the stars, Barry Funkhouser, is also sort of like super producing a trip across the country. Darren Kavinoky, the lawyer that you might know from, what's the CNN show he does?
Oh, he's like a columnist on CNN. He's on The Insider, and he's on Investigation Discovery. Investigation Discovery, that's it.
But he's also, in honor of his 50th birthday, running across the country, or biking across the country. In some cases, rollerblading across the country.
Yep, for a while.
Yeah, how'd that work when you hit the sands of Arizona?
Not so good.
Yeah, okay, just making sure. But basically, he is self-propelling his own body across the country without any help from anything motorized. I think that's the important thing. He, under his own steam, is going to get himself across the country, and it's very, very exciting. And you're documenting the whole thing, and you've got video footage, and you're doing podcasts, and it's an incredible, incredible opportunity. It's super cool that you're doing it, and man, it means that every single time we talk to you, for the most part, you're going to be in a different town. And today, you're in Phoenix. What do you make of Phoenix?
Well, so far so good. I haven't seen much of it. We just got in here. We drove the house to the parking lot. House on wheels. But yeah, it's okay. It's a valley.
You guys got this like massive RV, and you got it wrapped, and there's a giant picture of Darren Kavinoky running on it, which is cool and everything. But man, as a child, as a ruffian with a spray can, as I was, when I wasn't busy doing music, I was getting my creative yayas out in other ways, often through that form of public vandalism / art known as graffiti. And man, if I saw that somebody had put a picture of themselves on the side of a bus, like if I saw you guys leave that RV, I'd be like, oh man, it is so happening tonight. That thing would, 5 seconds in my presence as a 15-year-old, and that thing would have been tagged, and everything on Darren Kavanaugh would have been grotesque and obscene. I would have, and then you'd have to drive across a desert in that, and I would have laughed my ass off. And you know what? So would people that had seen you going across the country.
We did get our first middle finger today.
You did? From who?
Somebody on the side of the road with a sign.
What was the sign?
You know, give me money.
Oh. And you didn't, so they gave you the middle finger?
I guess so.
Or are they giving you the middle finger on your approach? They're like, screw this. I'm not even going to bother asking these people for money. Look at the side of their bus. Hey, check this out. Those are 2 middle fingers going up.
Yeah, I mean, it happened before I even knew it.
You know, Phoenix, there's something about Phoenix, and I've been to Phoenix a bunch, and I really enjoyed Phoenix, and it's a good town, it's a fun town, it's a great music town, but there's something about it. Like, I remember talking to a friend of mine. I was like, I'm just in the Phoenix airport, and there's still something methy about this town. There's still something methed up, if you will. Like, there's just a sense of crystal meth
It's just
that permeates this whole city. And my friend said to me, look at these split. He's like, yeah, but at least it's a dry meth.
I was going to say it's a bit deserty, so
Yeah.
I see that. A lot of RVs everywhere.
Have
It is
you
a lot of
encountered
fun, like stopping and having to dump the RV at these in the middle of nowhere place, looking for like places where you can dump the water.
What do you mean having to
and
dump
stuff.
the RV?
Well, there's a bathroom in there and
the
a
septic-
shower, and there's.
Wait, you do that?
I'm trained. I'm one of many who do that. One of the 3.
Really?
So far, the only one.
Yeah, I was going to say, how many times has anybody else? Oh, I know it happened. I know
What happened?
You went, I can do that, and they went, cool.
Oh no! In this case, no.
And, well, you did it
Go
once.
out there and learn.
You did it once, and now you're the only one that can do it. So they're like, Funkhouser, could you do? Yeah, okay, yep. And what they're going to do is they're not even going to bring it up anymore. And eventually, you're going to be the guy that goes, hey, could you pull over? I have to empty the RV of all your excrement. I was hired as a guy to record things and be techie and help you create content for whatever is going to happen after this. But no, let me handle what it is that you ate 12 hours earlier. This is a great freaking job. Thanks a lot.
Hey,
this was not in the job description.
There are buttons I have to push to make it happen.
Uh-huh.
A couple of buttons.
They hired you as a button pusher, and one of the buttons is the... Okay. Oh, that's revolting, Funkhouser. I could never...
just think of me as like Robin Williams in the movie RV. I have to start somewhere, and I'm learning. Like when I'm 60 or something.
Robin Williams did that trip with his family, and it's like picking up after your dog. It's okay to pick up after your dog, but have you ever picked up after the wrong dog, and you know it's the wrong dog because it's cold, not warm, because your dog just did what he did, and you're like, oh no! It's 800 million times more disgusting when it's not a family member, and it's already pretty disgusting. Got to get yourself out of that, Funkhouser, and quick.
Now, more AD on the radio.
Back once again, the ill behavior, delivering and giving you my musical savior. Back once again, it's your boy AD again. Nobody rock a body better than me. Back once again, the ill behavior.
So the news in Funkhouser's world is that part of his job, he wasn't told this before hitting the road with Darren Kavanoki and his team of super fit athlete types that eat mostly lean protein and then have to use the bathroom. Part of his job is emptying the septic system.
You say this like it's a bad thing. It's not a really bad thing.
It's a bad thing. There's no... You literally cannot candy coat or sugarcoat the situation. Doing what you're doing is a bad thing. It's not fun. It's one of those things where you should get hazard pay for having to do that. You should... I swear to gosh, Funkhouser, you should ask for extra.
Okay.
So it's like the two runners, right? And it's you and the chef.
Mm-hmm.
And the two runners, like Darren and the other guy that are doing like the cross-country, hiking, biking, rollerblading, pogo sticking, razor scootering across America, they're not going to do it because they're like, hey, man, I just ran 35 miles today. No is the answer.
They would do it.
And then there's the chef, and the chef, oh, well, he's preparing the food. You don't want him doing that. So I guess it really, wow, you're stuck with this. Yeah, you should just ask for extra
It's really
money.
like a two-person job to do all this stuff, to keep a house moving down the road across the country. It's really a two-person job. And, I'm learning a lot of on-the-job things that I didn't know before. And, maybe I'll come out of this. We were joking around today saying, like, at the end of this, we're going to know how to take apart an RV and put it all back together because things are breaking down and it's a bit troubling getting across the desert.
I can imagine. Well, then.
But yes, I agree with you. I should ask for it.
You should ask for hazard pay. Yep, you should.
They're paying for all my food, and I'm in a 2-bedroom hotel.
They're paying for all your food, but then they're asking you to handle their food after it's been digested. That's like a sandwich a day does not make up for that. That is not a thing. Like, I'm telling you,
I guess you have to be on the open road to understand.
I've been on the open road. I've been on tour. I spent a decent amount of my life on tour. And by the way, the rule was while you're on tour, you don't do the number 2 in the tour bus. That was just, otherwise it would be an unlivable situation. You waited till you got to a place that had a flushable commode, and you just did not. It was a giant no. And if someone, this never happened to me, but I hear it happened to other bands. There's this thing called hot bagging. You ever hear of this?
No.
So, because it was so vitally important not to stink up the truck by stink up the tour bus by having.
Oh no. I don't have a button this time, so be careful.
No, I'm phrasing this carefully. It's so vitally important not to stink up a tour bus that you're just not allowed to go number 2 on the bus. But if you absolutely cannot hold it, rather than make the person, i.e. the Funkhouser of that crew, deal with that when they're emptying out the septic system, you hot bag it, which is you put a garbage bag over the toilet. You see where I'm going with this one?
I think
and then
so.
you dispose it, so it goes in the toilet, but not into the septic.
Okay.
Yeah, that's called hot bagging it. And fortunately, no one in my band, no one I ever toured with, ever did that. But I heard stories of other guys in bands doing that, and those were the links they were willing to go to so that the septic system did not get used. Therefore, the fact that they're asking you to clean it out on the regular, I straight up think you should ask for more money. That's what I think.
I demand a raise now.
Yeah. I would ponder that.
At least number 2%.
Yeah. At least a 2% raise.
At least more grain. I demand more grain.
I think you want less grain. You want meats and cheeses, so you have to deal with less of them. Mostly hard-boiled eggs, meat, and cheese. That's a diet that runners need. All right.
I learn something every day.
Yeah, well, let's you ponder that, Funkhouser, while we go over the news. What's going on in the world?
Willie Nelson turned 84 this weekend.
Yeah. These days, many of Willie's conversations about joints involve arthritis. Which my ankle's still all kinds of jacked up. So I
Yeah,
really
are you
don't
dead
know.
yet?
I'm on my way. Like I think I'm never gonna get a chance to catch up from this. Like I took one sick day, and there's so much freaking work to do. And like no, I'm gonna work myself into an early grave. And my program director will be like, "Hey, did you bang out a week of logs? So we've got a little bit of cushion after you die." That's how it's gonna go. And that's just
You should demand a raise.
I did.
Sounds like you're dealing with more blank than me.
Well, you know what? When you demand a raise and they give you something, on the flip side of that, they like you to do more work. So, yeah, that happened. Anyways, go on. What else?
Friday marked the 20th anniversary of Ellen DeGeneres coming out as gay.
Yeah, and the 30th anniversary of us knowing she was gay. Like, was anyone not?
I saw her interview with Oprah talking about it.
What did she say?
I can't remember. It was fun, though. It was like, oh, remember that? She's like, oh, yeah, I do.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it completely. What was so strange to me was like I remember watching Ellen, the TV show. We got it in England, and I remember as a kid watching the TV show and being like, oh, so like that character's gay, right? She's a lesbian. Like that's what that is, and I think everybody knew way before that she was gay. And then
but nobody went out. Nobody did that on TV yet.
Right. And then she said, like, everybody knew she was gay, and she said she was gay, and the world lost their mind, which was so freaking stupid. And I think it honestly might be an American thing, like that level of. Do you remember Rob Halford from Judas Priest? So Rob Halford from Judas Priest came out as being gay, and what happened to the music?
It's coming.
Okay.
You know, hotel music, internet.
Oh, great. Fantastic. Rob Halford from Judas Priest came out as gay. And I remember being in America and someone asking me, like, dude, what do you think about the whole Rob Halford thing? I was like, the guy wore bondage gear, including assless chaps on stage for the last 20 years. How is this possibly surprising to any of you? He's like, I have a hard time listening to his records now. I was like, well, then you're an idiot. A giant idiot.
Leave the stimulation to the professionals.
Everyone is so smart.
KPRC, more stimulating talk radio.
There's something happening here, and you should know what it is. The dumbing up of America. Now, more AD on the radio.
Yeah, I don't know what it was. I don't know what it was about growing up in England, but I think maybe it had something to do with an old music hall tradition. Like, but guys dressed up as women, Eddie Izzard, you know that guy? He used to come out on stage in makeup, and to this day I don't know if he was gay, but he just came out on stage with makeup like a woman. And who else was there? There was you ever come across Dame Edna Everage? You ever hear of her?
No.
Well, she was like I guess she was. Well, she was a dude, is what she was, but she dressed in drag and performed in drag, and that she was a huge, huge star, incredibly well known, very accepted, and really kind of considered part of the family entertainment milieu. It was not like a thing where, oh my gosh, this is a drag show. This is something that kids won't get, hide it away. This was like regular entertainment. And then there was Julian Clary, who, you ever come across Julian Clary, Funkhouser?
Nope.
He's really funny. He's another English comedian. He was very well known. You'd always see him, and he was. I don't think he ever said he was gay, but he would come on stage and people would clap, and he was like, "Thank you. I always enjoy a warm hand on my entrance." Like that was his. So like, and anybody who couldn't figure that out was like, and that was on, that was on the equivalent of the Tonight Show in England. I don't know. Maybe it's just I just have a hard time believing that anybody didn't realize Ellen DeGeneres was gay, and then had a hard time believing that people had such a problem with it when she said, I'm gay, to the point where it absolutely torpedoed her career. It's a very strange thing to me. Don't understand it. Never really got that. It's like you had fun watching her on TV before. It's literally exactly the same, except she said that she was gay. But who cares? Like, it's not a show about being gay. It's a show with a character in it who said they were gay, and you already knew they were gay. And what's the big... I don't know. David Spade apparently didn't know Ellen DeGeneres was gay. David Spade tells a great story of, like, you know, them doing a show together back in the day, in the 90s, and she was like, do you want to come over to my hotel room and watch movies or something afterwards? And he was like, I'm totally hooking up with Ellen. This is going to be awesome. And his friends were like, no, you're not. And he's like, what do you mean? And they're like, oh, you didn't know. Okay, no. And so everybody knew. No one sort of like publicly outed her. You know, no one forced her to come out before she was comfortable with it. But literally everybody knew. And it was weird, except for David Spade. And, you know, the people that watched her TV show that were outraged, I tell you. Crazy. All right, what else? More news, Funkhouser.
Billy Ray Cyrus is in the news.
Hold on, I can't.
I know.
Don't feel
well, the
newsy and official.
The hotel Wi-Fi sucks.
Oh,
very soon,
really?
I'm not going to have to deal with this. So
okay.
I get my own satellite thing. So for a while, it just and delay a little bit. So
there we go.
Billy Ray Cyrus announced he's changing his name to just Cyrus.
Wait, he's going with that one word thing?
Yeah.
Cyrus. That's why. That's stupid. Because, I mean, that's the sort of thing rappers do. Rappers, like, you know, change their name, and then rappers give themselves... And also, that's sort of a young man's game, and I'm not saying that... Well, it's just like Billy Ray Cyrus has been Billy Ray Cyrus for an extraordinarily long time. Everybody knows who he is. Everybody knows he's the achy breaky guy. Everybody knows he's Miley's dad, and all that. Like, changing your name to just Cyrus is like... No one's ever going to think of you as, there's Cyrus. Oh, man. Wow. So different from Billy Ray Cyrus. Wonder what he's going to do next. Like, everybody knows who the hell you are. You're not fooling anyone. You're not changing your identity. You're not... Anyways, yeah. Billy Ray Cyrus is changing his name to just Cyrus, which I suppose is a good thing. Seems silly on the surface, but I think it's good only because, well, Cyrus, that one word thing, it'll be a lot easier to remember for his Uber customers. Also, it'll save Miley a whole lot of time when she's writing out his allowance check. What else?
Gwyneth Paltrow, her website Goop, the lifestyle website, is becoming a magazine.
Oh. We get to hear more about Gwyneth Paltrow? Sign me up. Reply terrible people everywhere. Go on.
Scott Baio's wife defended the size of her husband's penis in a Twitter feud with Aaron Moran's brother.
Oh, yeah. So Aaron Moran, who's Joni on Happy Days, right?
This is a toughie.
And Joni loves Chachi. She, I guess, had some substance abuse problems back in the day. And she passed away a little while ago. Was it from cancer, Funkhouser? I think it was.
Yeah.
Pretty sure it was cancer. But it was something that was on the surface of things unrelated to her substance abuse. And Scott Baio said something along the lines of, well, you know, that's just the way it is. You drink and do drugs and you die. And it was a wildly insensitive thing to say, especially like the day she died. And understandably, Aaron Moran's family were just mad, like all kinds of mad. Up to and including her brother. Now, her brother did not respond in a, you know, two wrongs not making a right. Her brother's response was not terribly dignified either. He said that he called out Scott Baio for insinuating that her drug and alcohol abuse was what was the reason she was dead, and, you know, for the callous way in which he said it and all this sort of stuff. And then he went after the size of what Scott Baio had going on south of the equator and said that his sister, who I guess had dated him for a while back in the day, said she broke up with him because he was not well equipped in the pants, if you know what I mean, and I think you do. So there's this giant Twitter feud right after she dies, and it's just like that. Are you kidding me? You know, this was she might have run into some problems. She might have had her problems. She might not have been the greatest person, but this is a person who a lot of people were brought joy by. People love watching her on Happy Days. People loved watching her on Joni Loves Chachi. And the whole thing is just smeared by Scott Baio and the family's response. He's going after the size of Scott Baio's junk. Scott Baio said something callous and uncalled for, and the whole thing's just an ugly mess and an example of how not to behave in a sensitive situation. But you know what? Grief makes people do unusual things, so I guess we could chalk it up to that. Anyways, Scott Baio's wife defended the size of Scott's Baio, if you will, on Twitter. So, looks like the only area where Scott can be described as microscopic is apparently his bank account. Go on.
Philadelphia fans aggressively booed Roger Goodell each time he got on stage at the NFL draft on Friday.
Yeah. Also eliciting aggressive boos from Philadelphia fans, the Dallas Cowboys, the New York Giants, puppies, rainbows, unicorns, seesaws, the ocean, and the fact that it's May. Like, oh my gosh, I'll never forget playing Philadelphia for the first time. Like, we were on an absolute high. We played a blazing show in New Jersey the night before. We played the Stone Pony in Asbury Park, where Bruce Springsteen came up back in the day, and we destroyed that place. It was a perfect show. It was what you get into. Remember, I was talking about earlier in the show, I was talking about seeing Murphy from Sugar Ray do his thing on stage, and I was like, that's a guy that's having so much fun. And not only that, everyone around him, the whole audience, this whole massive room full of people, they're having fun too. That's what we're in it for. That's what, and it was that kind of night. It was so much fun. I don't remember the details exactly, but I do remember being upside down from the lighting rig and falling from it, and being caught and crowd surfing throughout the crowd and like landing on stage again. And it was just an amazing, unbelievable, beautiful night that made us feel like the tremendous rock stars we were not. And we arrived in Philadelphia the next day, where we'd never played before, and Philadelphia wasted no time in letting us know we were not the rock stars that we felt like we were. And it was one of those nights where we had to leave quickly because we were afraid we were going to get like beat up or our tires slashed, or it went so badly through no fault of our own. We just got on stage and did our normal thing, and the entire crowd was like, boo, you suck, like before we'd even played a note of music. And 9 times out of 10 in those situations, we won crowds over. But man, I was just like, yeah, who came up with that idea of the city of brotherly love in Philadelphia? Because that's evidently not true. And
not for you, dude.
Well, yeah, but then the second time we went back, it was almost like they'd hazed us, so we were good. And then every single time we went back to Philly, it was amazing. It was on our first tour there, it was a city where we were like literally afraid to go back. We're like, this is going to suck. I think someone even stole my like jacket out of the dressing room too. Like, it was just nothing good about Philadelphia. And then we went back, and it was every single time it was better, and it was better again, and it became one of our favorite places to go, one of our favorite places to play. But yeah, no, the folks in Philadelphia waste no time in letting you know you suck if they feel like you suck. And you know what? You probably do. They're just harsh critics, and they booed Roger Goodell really aggressively. But like I said, Roger Goodell shouldn't feel bad because the folks in Philly have a way to them. Go on.
Myles Garrett says big things are coming to the Cleveland Browns after drafting him with the first pick in the NFL draft.
Yeah. In other words, he wasn't drafted for his brain. Like, the way the draft works, to the best of my understanding, is like, your team sucks the most, therefore you get, you kind of get the pick of the litter. And therefore, yeah.
You need the most help here.
Yeah, you need the most help. And otherwise, glittering careers are flushed down the toilet in this situation. Kind of silly. Go on. Raiders fans in the... you know what? I don't know the full story. I don't know the situation. I'm not going to weigh in until I do, because this is a very serious and sensitive subject. Like, somebody that actually rapes someone and then goes on to become a professional football player, if there is truth to that, it speaks volumes to the lengths the NFL will go to make money. And that's the bottom line. And how much of their soul they're willing to trade in honor of the almighty dollar. And if that's true, it's disgusting. But like I said, don't know the full story, so I'm going to hold back a little bit on that one. Maybe we'll talk about it later. What else?
The 2017 NFL Draft is history.
Yeah. As are the hopes and dreams of the players drafted by the Cleveland Browns. Go on.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. is retiring from NASCAR finally.
That's yeah. I mean, and this is not just Dale Earnhardt Jr. This is a guy who's not just a legendary NASCAR driver. This is a guy who is part of a NASCAR dynasty, related to, son of one of, well, probably the most well-known NASCAR driver of all time. But you know what? Dale Earnhardt Jr. retiring from NASCAR, I think he knew it was time. At this stage, he just felt like he was going in circles. We'll be back soon. We'll do this all over again. Say goodbye, Funkhouser.
Goodbye, Funkhouser.
Try and unload less people's excrement in the future.